Sorry, folks, we are running a few minutes late tonight. Just give me a moment, and we will get started. Actually, technically, we're running about 2 minutes late, but you know what? That's okay. Just give me a second. Okay. I am just about done on my end, folks. Another minute. Oh, yeah. You on my end? I was not expecting that. All right. Oh. Okay. So. Oh, god damn it. Come on, open up. Yes, I've connected. I've connected. Alright, we good. Okay, we're good. Probably got to fight with this a little bit today because we all know what happened the last time I decided to do something like this. Let me see. Where is that world building thing I was working with? Alright. World building exercise. Okay. So. Let me get this popped up on the stream. Oh, hey. Ain't that convenient, ain't it? Oh, god damn it. Not the Zoom box. Which one are you? Okay, there it goes. Hold on. Alright, there we go. I gotta pull up my... Yeah, I was running a few minutes late. Or later than I intended, because usually I have this all set up about a half hour before... About 15 minutes, a half hour before I actually have to stream. So I am not organized tonight. Alright. Alright, so... Uneven technology development in sci-fi. Kind of an odd topic. And let me go ahead and get this up running. So we have our the before catastrophe and aftermath from the exercise we did. What was it, 2-3 weeks ago? Might have been a little bit longer. How big is that? That's 14. Right. All right. Uneven technological development. In sci-fi. So, one of the things that I frequently see in a lot of science fiction is nearly every group has pretty much linear, even, simultaneous development in pretty much all the areas of science. So I'll go ahead and do that right now. Now, I'm not saying all sci-fi does this, but it's something that I see pretty much almost all across the board. Mass majority. Of technology is, I guess, I don't know, would linear be a good way to describe that? No. Actually, no, that wouldn't be a good word to describe that. There we go. Advance at the same rate. So, what this, I guess the best way to describe this is that nearly every piece of technology you see in a lot of science fiction universes is pretty much on a basically the same even footing. Okay, so what the hell is it? Medical technology is the same. Your FTL travel, whatever. It's all basically the same across the board. And this basically makes me think that a lot of people assume that technological development is linear. Oh, I'm gonna get this written in. Tech chaos. Yeah, there we go. Tech chaos. Oh, man. Okay. As an even development all across the board. This basically, what I'm thinking is this basically assumes that technology is a linear, stagnant thing. Or a linear stagnant thing. Like one side has something better than the. We'll go ahead and use the guns and armor analogy. I know, bit cliche, but yeah, it's linear one-upsmanship. You know, classic boring example is guns versus armor. One side has a better gun, and the other has better armor. Now, for you, my dear viewers, I'm going to turn this one over to you. How do you think this is going to advance? Oh, is my camera tracking right? Yeah, it's tracking right. Okay. Thought for a moment my camera wasn't tracking. Do, go. Oh. Oh. Okay. Well. So if we were to use the stereotypical, what people would generally think, one side, wait, in order to counter the better gun, would develop better armor. Develop better armor, which in turn a better gun. And lead to better armor. Huh. Oh, I hope that doesn't pop up. Okay. Yeah. Okay, that was not something I expected. Excuse me. Anyways, would lead to better armor, then a better gun, and so on and so forth. However, this isn't going to be the case. So say for a moment that you have a better gun, okay? Better armor, better gun. So this could potentially lead to, we'll throw in the good old World War I staple of chemical warfare. Okay, so better armor or a better gun could potentially lead to a chemical counterweapon. All right, which would lead to the necessary development. You know, that is like the one word in the English language that I get wrong every single goddamn time. I cannot say necessary. I can't. Or I can't spell necessary. Like every single time. Anyways. Which leads to the necessary development and deployment of countermeasures. Okay. So now you have this issue. So your opponents now develop chemical countermeasures to the chemicals. Okay. Which could lead to development of more potent chemical weaponry, which again we would assume would fall into the linear to counter it. The only problem with this is you're assuming that this is just going to happen. Okay. So now you have the better gun and better armor. Now you have your chemical counterweapon and the deployment of countermeasures, which technically could lead to more potent weapon or chemical weaponry to counter it, but okay. All right. You know, that's actually, I might have fucked this one up. Okay. But you get what I'm saying. Ever-changing battlefield conditions could lead to different... Yeah, point being, regardless... Just think about when poison gas was first deployed in World War I. A lot of people were trying to figure out how to counter it. At first, it was just simply, what was it? I think one of the methods they had was they soaked masks and I think urine, because the ammonia in it would counter the chemical gases. Then they eventually started developing gas masks. Okay, which could potentially, anyway, lead to render this weapon ineffective. Okay, so... Okay, development. Okay, so we'll say the chemical weapon, we'll say sprayer, which led more potent chemical weaponry to counter it. But, okay. So we have the necessary countermeasures, i.e., masks, clothing, etc., which could lead to develop more potent chemical weaponry to counter it. However, improvements in the environmental gear necessitated we'll say it necessitated a change in delivery system. A change. Okay, so we'll say it necessitated a change in delivery system, which in turn led to, so we'll say a change in delivery system, say artillery. Which necessitated, we'll say, okay, so we have improvements in weapons, environmental gear, necessitated a change in delivery system. We'll say artillery, which necessitated a means to detect like the chemical gases as this could potentially be masked by mixing this in with AG. So you get what I'm saying. Basically, you change your delivery system, which could give your opponent less time to react. So that necessitated a way to detect the gases, and then you had to find a way to hide the gases. It's a never-going system. But anyways, so using the guns and armor analogy, it shows that technology. What the hell was that? My headset just acted up. Sorry about that, folks. Okay. Oh, come on. Don't do this to me. Okay. Thought for a moment my computer disconnected again. So, how does this relate to what I'm going for? Or what I'm talking about? So, one of the things I like to think is that, say for a moment, you have an expedition, an extrasolar expedition, or an interplanetary expedition. Well, we'll use that. This necessitates long supply lines, either a large or supply train, and all the logistical structures to support it. Now, necessitates either a large supply train or a long supply. Well, no, that wouldn't make any sense. Okay, a large supply stockpile and supporting vessel, equipment. The aforementioned long supply train, which basically is just a massive logistical train that moves up to support your colonial effort. The use of long supply trains. And the most important, self-sufficiency. Which, in turn, that need for self-sufficiency could result in developing an entirely different tech, or your tech base going in an entirely different direction. And if you're wondering what this whole topic is even coming out about, or why the hell I'm even doing this, well, down to a conversation I had with someone. Apparently, it was I'm trying to remember what the hell we were talking about. It was me and another guy. We were playing 40K, and I think we were talking about oh damn, what the hell were we talking about? We were talking about internal combustion engines and how that in a sci-fi setting that's basically Stone Age tech. Could result in the need for a localized industrial base, industrial and agricultural base, with all that entails. Now, a good example would be to use, let's say you're this interplanetary explorer, right? You've had this long supply train behind you. You've had all the logistical support that you need to keep whatever colony you've got going. We'll say, yeah, interplanetary explorer. With full logistical support. From full logistical support from planet of origin. Yeah, I really need to clean my screen at some point. All kinds of dust on it. Alright, so you have full logistical support from planet of origin. We'll say that... Okay, so the settlement, we'll say... For central power plant, we'll go with a classic. Uses fusion reactors to power the majority of equipment. All right. So you use a central power plant for your settlement. It uses fusion reactors. You power the majority of your equipment with it, along with some limited hydrogen engine development as backup. All right. So now you have your hydrogen limited. You have your hydrogen engine backup. Your colony's main export. Are iron, which is always a classic. Copper, silicates in the form of electronics. And methane. And liquid methane gas. To power, say, we'll say rockets. For local travel. Okay. So suddenly, there's an incident on the central world. Causes the logistics train to collapse. All right. So suddenly, whatever this incident is, could be political unrest, could be a war, just simply could be the government collapsing under the weight of its own bureaucracy. Whatever. This can happen anywhere. So suddenly, you find yourself we'll say you find yourself trying to make up for those rare and fancy electronics pack and fancy fusion plants that have been supporting the majority of your industry. Industrial and agricultural capacity. Okay. So you've lost your industrial, or you've lost your logistical support, which is not a good sign. And you've been relying on these rare and fancy machines that have to be imported from way far off, all these components, magnetic containment fields, whatever computer systems are needed to monitor it, all that jazz. So now you got to figure out where you're going to go. All right. Now, Oh, damn. Where was I going with this? Okay. Cut off from the majority of your supply, of your original supply lines. We'll say the colony starts relying on the aforementioned methane gas. Development of liquid methane powered equipment. Powered engines. Power, we'll say you liquid methane power plants to supplement the existing and potentially rare. Maybe this probably, I just realized that instead of creating the whole uneven technological development, I just did a crash course in a crisis. Like what happens when your logistical supply lines are suddenly cut off. In hindsight, next time I do one of these, I think I said this last time, but I need to actually write this shit down. Because I had this whole lecture I came up with at work, had all kinds of talking points, and I didn't write down a goddamn word of it. Whoops. Well, apparently we're going to be talking about what to do when your space colony starts falling short. Actually, you know what? This does lean into that. Just hold on. And potentially irreplaceable advanced fusion technology. This also creates its own problems. As you know, okay, so you can't get the parts for your fusion plants, or if you can, you are going to have a hard time keeping them maintained, or you're going to have a hard time getting enough parts to keep this. We'll say you're going to have a hard time getting these parts to keep it maintained or producing at full capacity. We'll go with that. As now, you're going to have to. What's the word I'm looking for? Fuck. Okay. So yeah, it creates its own problems as now you have to scratch build an entire industrial base. For a new industry. Now, while some could make the argument that an internal combustion engine and a rocket could potentially have a lot in common, I don't think they do. Actually, I know enough about them to say they probably don't. But of course, I could be talking out of my ass in that regard. So if somebody happens to know better than me, please feel free to chime in. Oh. Okay. Anyways. Oh, god damn it. Quit hitting buttons. Okay. So now you got to scratch build an entire industrial base for this brand new industry out of necessity. Get away. I'll do a little gaming after this once I get my head out of my ass. If we have time. Out of necessity, mind you. So now you got to build, like I said, you got to scratch build the entire industrial base. This also requires this also requires a skill set, a particular skill set, or adapting existing equipment. Yeah, you can either adapt, and adapting existing equipment. You need subject matter experts, obviously. People who actually know how to put together an engine. As a mechanic, may know how an engine runs. Well, we'll say you have a couple of mechanics. A mechanic might know how an engine runs, but they're not necessarily going to know how to build that. No, they're going to know how to build an engine out of the parts. Know how to the parts required to make the aforementioned engine. So, engines and power plants. So that's another issue you have. Subject matter experts are always going to be an issue no matter what field you're in. So let's say the apocalypse happens tomorrow, okay? Let's just say it happens tomorrow. All of a sudden we lose the majority of our industrial base, we lose the majority of our knowledge. And a lot of people, say you have a couple mechanics, carpenters, whatever with you. So carpenters are going to know how to cut down, or they're going to know how to work wood. They might know how to cut it down if they know what they're doing. But your mechanics, they're going to know how to build an engine out of the parts available. But again, they're not going to know how to manufacture those parts. They're not going to know what to look for to get the resources for those parts. They're not going to know how to refine those resources into something usable for those parts. Which, again, why the aforementioned subject matter experts are going to be needed. Can be used. We'll say, I don't know if a hydrogen power plant could be adapted to run liquid methane. Just a moment. Okay. Oh. Okay. That is interesting. Apparently, you can potentially extract hydrogen from methane. That is interesting. Through methane pyrolysis. I don't know how to pronounce that. Pyrolysis. I don't know. But basically, I guess you turn the methane into fuel. So actually, that could actually work. That could actually work. That's how you get around this problem. Adaptive process. Actually. All right, look with me. Okay. Adapt. Okay. Okay, extracting hydrogen from the liquid methane is one way to go about it. Like we just said, I did not know you could actually. Okay. Well, folks, you learn something new every day. Another is to burn the gas itself. Back into gas and use it as a fuel source, which again is entirely possible. Let's say akin to something like propane. And potentially, yeah, because have you ever seen a guys ever worked around forklifts? That's one of the things we use at the plant I work at. Our forklifts are powered by a propane tank. Are powered by propane. This technology, I don't think, I think instead of just talking about uneven technology, I just figure out how people just, oh God, I'm getting way off subject. This technology already exists and could potentially, could be potentially used as the base for additional technological development. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we already have the existing technology to use natural gas as a fuel source, as by the aforementioned propane. Okay, so we're adapting the existing technology, and then we're using it as, I guess, a stepping stone to where we need to get to. This could result in more efficient engines, better refining processes. Yeah, okay, so it results in more efficient engines, better refining processes. Okay, more efficient. So better refining processes. Though this could also lead to, we'll say, to the aforementioned fusion technology being either stagnating or potentially being ignored altogether. Being ignored, if not outright lost, by the passage of time. Lack of knowledge. Lack of knowledge and individuals who know lack of knowledge, be it schematics, lack of subject matter experts, if not outright, loss of the devices themselves, which is entirely possible. Now, I know this may seem kind of silly. It's like, hey, you got fusion technology sitting right there. But in the event of a situation like this, where you're scrounging to try and make something, replace everything with anything, it could lead to certain technologies being neglected. And anyone who thinks that knowledge can't be lost, may I point out to the Dark Ages, to where after the fall of the Roman Empire, a lot of knowledge was lost. Like here recently, we didn't even know how here until recently, we didn't know how Roman concrete was made. You know how they did it? Limestone. Bits of unmixed limestone, when the concrete would crack and fall away, when that seawater hits it, it would react with the seawater and seal the cracks up. Which is kind of cool, by the way. Really cool. So yeah. Lack of subject matter experts, somebody doesn't know how to do something. Okay, you can't do anything with that. You lose schematics. You can't simply reverse engineer something, because anybody who thinks reverse engineering is a simple process, it's really not. Okay, what you'd have, let's say for a moment you have some kind of weird, we'll say a scanner. We'll say some kind of alien tech scanner. Okay, so this button right here is what triggers the scan. You let go, or it beeps and you let go. So you open it up, you watch what it does. Okay, so let's say you push that button, and then it makes the light bulb on the left-hand side, or whatever passes for a light bulb, a left-hand side turn on. Okay, so that's indicating that it's receiving power from somewhere. All right. Now, how's it scanning? And so on and so forth. I'm not gonna get too deep in this because I'm gonna looking like an idiot. more so than I usually do, anyways. So yeah, this got a little okay, got a little off track. Loss of technology can potentially even okay. So a loss of technology can result in a radically different take. Yeah, okay, loss, apparently, yeah, I can't spell tonight. Take on existing technologies. Due to a lack of resources. Okay, so we're going to fall back on what we talked about earlier, the oh, damn. Technology is being lost right now. Like, for example, my aunt went to learn pottery techniques from an old Japanese master whose family had been making pottery for the emperor for 4 generations. The reason they were teaching people from across the world was because they had no kids to pass it to that wanted to do pottery for life. Yeah, that's another example right there. Okay. Another example, a lack of interest. That's a very good example. Sometimes people just simply don't want to learn the skills. Do not want to learn the skills. That's a very good point there. Do not want to learn the skills necessary to maintain the tech base. To maintain, if not improve, the existing tech base. Resulting again in a loss of knowledge. But yeah, that's a very good point. It's one of the things you see today. A lot of people, especially here in the U.S., everyone was going for those college degrees. Now, I'm not saying getting a college degree is a bad thing, but the result is that we now have a shortage of people who know how to weld, who know how to fit pipes, who can manufacture steel. We've been slowly losing some of that as we move on to a more, I guess, tech-focused society, I guess is the best way to put it. Are people going for those higher paying jobs out there? But yeah, that's a very good point. Very good point. Okay, due to lack of resources. Okay, lost technology. Okay, aforementioned planet was poor. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's another example. Street in London, where most of the world's scissors were once made before cheap stamp scissors took over. Now the last person who knows how to make real scissors. Uh-huh. Yeah, they're a lot better. Yeah, that's a good point, because a lot of specialized knowledge out there has been lost. Yeah, thanks for bringing up those points, bud. Appreciate it. Okay, so the aforementioned plant was poor in things like, we'll say, like saltpeter, which is a key component in gunpowder. Saltpeter. We'll say that you have we'll use 21st century firearms technology as a good base because, well, I actually understand how firearms work fairly well. So in order to work around this they created light gas guns. These use natural gas, such as either propane or the aforementioned methane. Now, one of the more interesting things about light gas guns, just a quick side note right here, is they can actually achieve nearly twice the muzzle velocity as a conventional firearm when used in a combat manner. But they have their own problems. If you've ever seen a spud gun catch fire, that's because people use the propellant from, say, hairspray. You spray it in there, you seal it up real quick before all the aerosol gets out. You got your spud in the other end. There's a little you either have your I know some people have used a lighter in the past, but there's like a sparker. These sparker from a grill. Click that, and what if a planet gets hit by a meteor? Okay, what planets would they normally use to grow? Okay, that is a very good. That's a very good example. That's a very good example. Okay, so the loss of. Okay, so scenario is, as you said, is planet gets hit by meteorite. Dust cloud, dust everywhere, and alters the atmosphere radically. Okay, so that's actually a very good that's a very good scenario you just threw up there. Yeah. Okay, so people forgot. Well, it's really going to depend on what was available at the time. Because one of the things that you can say is that some people might have forgot, but then there are some that might retain some of that knowledge. But as you point out with the example with scissors, the street in London where most of the world's scissors were made, that we'll get into that in a moment. Most crops aren't able to grow. Okay, let's see. Okay. Actually, no. Most of the traditional crops won't grow, and potentially leads, because there's a potential for a loss of knowledge, but at the same time, I'm not going to say it was going to be a complete loss. I would say there wouldn't be a complete loss, and I'll explain that in a moment. But no. All right. So one option you've got is there's always a potential for some people to have greenhouses and hydroponics. Okay. Yeah, river dried up, etc. Okay. So greenhouses and hydroponics. That's it. Okay, we'll throw that in there. Or bugs. Bugs, plague, lower water levels, etc. Okay, so you have greenhouses and hydroponics. This is actually pretty commonly used here. If I recall correctly, here in the U.S., there's these great big hydroponics farms. Okay, greenhouses could potentially... Okay, greenhouses could potentially... God damn it. I cannot spell tonight. Okay, so greenhouses could potentially offset climate issues. Let's say you have a plant that only grows in, say, a very warm and humid environment, okay? We'll say subtropical. All right, warm, humid environment. Okay, warm, humid environment, humid. subtropical. We'll use the aforementioned meteorite impact as an example. Impacted climate impacted the climate to the point. It's simply counter example. Widespread destruction. Yeah. That's pretty good. That's actually what I'm getting at here. Well, part of what I'm going to get at here in a minute, anyways. Smoke weed every day. You can't see me dancing, which is probably a good thing. Believe me. Okay. Simply do that. The plants just simply don't produce. Okay. So a greenhouse could potentially be used as a means of preservation, assuming they haven't been destroyed, they haven't been being lost in the ensuing famines, unrest. That's due to famine. Yeah, that's something you also have to keep in mind, is that a sudden loss of supplies, sudden collapse of infrastructure, anything. Yeah. Thanks, man. Anyways, one thing that people don't realize is that a civilization is 3 square miles away. Yep. From collapse. And if you don't believe me, just keep in mind that people tend to get very angry. I can't remember. Hold on. Actually, let me see. Any examples of... Okay. So, a good example of this would be a riot in July 9th, 1917 in Amsterdam, Netherlands, due to food shortages in World War I. It was a riot over potatoes. That's a very early example. But one of the more recent examples was in the 21st century, over to Sri Lanka. It was partly due to food shortages. Yeah, all it takes is losing those 3 square meals, and all of a sudden, if you're in charge, well, you better be producing some bread carts, otherwise you might get served up for dinner. But yeah, assuming that you haven't been lost due to the famine, or due to unrest during the famine, because there's going to be hungry people out there that aren't going to think long term. They're going to do whatever it takes. Okay. This would ensure that at least some knowledge of local plant life was lost, or was maintained. And possibly had a steady supply of food, a steady source of this food. Okay, so hydroponics could also be could also be a source of this. Large hydroponics farms could be used to grow certain plants. This can't isn't going to work for everything, but it's at least a step in the right direction. Okay. So yeah, hydroponics can be used. Another example that we could use is possibly fungi. I know. Not exactly what you wanted to hear, but we'll assume a worst case scenario. We'll say nuclear winter near. We'll say what you would typically think of, say the whole. I don't know if you guys, how many of y'all have ever seen the Animatrix, but we'll go for one of those scenarios where the sun has been completely blocked out. I know that's kind of an extreme example right there, but in the event of a total blackout, okay, cultivating fungi isn't actually, that does make me a bit, is make me a bit curious. Good. Cultivating. Okay, but yeah. All right, so growing your own mushrooms usually, let's see. Okay, well, let's see. We'll say what kind of mushroom would you got? We'll say we'll use a real common choice for beginners is oyster mushrooms. Not sure how edible those are. Is it easy? Is one way to provide sustenance. You know, I'm looking up all this stuff right now. Just kind of looking this stuff up as I go along because I don't want to sound like an idiot, but I've already sounded like one a couple of times. Cultivating mushrooms is one good way to provide sustenance, provided you can create an environment for it. Okay, so yeah, that's one way to offset it. Another. Okay, so what other ways? Can't really think of any other ways. Yeah, you made a total blackout. You can cultivate fungus. They really don't require any sunlight. They really just require something to grow out of, as long as you can cultivate an edible kind of mushroom. Easy, or depending on the species. Oyster mushrooms. Need a dark, warm, and humid environment. All right, so yeah, a nice, dark, warm, humid environment. And let's see what else we have here. All right. And so yeah, you need a way to harvest the spores. Spores while ensuring a steady supply of aforementioned mushrooms. So, the aforementioned mushrooms, which can result in certain all of these can result in some or all knowledge being lost. In regards to certain types of farming. Again, there's all kinds of scenarios you guys can come up with for stuff like this. Like, say, a loss of knowledge, say, in, again, the aforementioned farming required the mass. We'll use the hydroponics farming, for example. Okay, so your plant got hit by the aforementioned meteorite. You started having problems with the climate. There was issues with the soil. So, but you have these huge hydroponics farms. Okay. So now you need to start keeping those maintained. You have to start building the industry. You have subject matter experts on hand. You build off of what they know, and you go from there. And as you steadily build up and build off of that, you begin to, we'll say, steadily lose, maybe outside of a few fringe cases, you start to lose the knowledge on how to do more natural farming. Let's see. I gotta find the hydroponics farm. Hold on. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, it's just. Oh. But yeah, there's just kind of. There's all kinds of stuff when it comes to hydroponics. Although I think greenhouses and hydroponics I think they're like one and the same, aren't they? I don't know. Well, anyways, just like I said, depending on what happens when how you're building your world, just think for a second on how that world's technology developed. That's kind of where I was going with this. Because one of my favorite examples of uneven technology development is Battletech. So you had the inner worlds of Terran hegemony. They basically built some of the most advanced technologies known to man. Then the Great Houses also built some of their own. And then you had the Periphery, which they've got some advanced technology, but they've regressed in some ways due to a lack of logistical support or necessary infrastructure and all that crap. Anyway, so yeah, got a little derailed. Got a little derailed in the process, but we had some good suggestions there. Anyways, so yeah, that's it for the world building for tonight. And now we move on to the fun part. Well, not that wasn't fun. That was actually pretty fun doing the world building because, hey, world building. But yeah, if you guys decide to do sci-fi worlds, just think about that for a moment. How would technology have developed in the aforementioned world, or if they've been cut off from their original civilization, where did their technology go? And bear in mind, technology is also actually, I gotta pull that back up now. Hold on. Okay, there it goes. All right. Technology is a result of culture. Technology can be just as much of a result of society, of the culture and society that built it, as a necessity. Okay, but yeah, technology is just as much of the result of a culture and society as a necessity. A culture may consider certain subjects. A culture may consider certain subjects taboo. I think for the longest time, until I'm trying to remember how long it was, but for a good long while, a lot of doctors in the 17th and 18th century, didn't really have any knowledge on germ theory because at the time, you weren't allowed to study the human body, which led to a lot of it took a long time for germ theory to develop because it was considered taboo, which may bar. So yeah, of course I could have been talking out of my ass just now. That's something I remember reading somewhere. Which again, if I'm wrong, feel free to correct me. Which may be the result. In little to no knowledge in that area. As it forbidden or at the very least heavily regulated. Again, see the aforementioned lack of knowledge on germ theory. Yeah. Something else to keep in mind when you're coming up with technology for sci-fi. Think about how the society that you are making this technology, that you are developing, how would their science and how would their culture have influenced their science and technology? Just think on that for a moment when you decide to do this. Okay. Now, we're going to do some gaming. Let's see. What do I feel like playing for about 20 minutes or so? Okay. Play some Tribes 3. Yeah. Oh, do I have Dead Zones Road installed still? Alright, yep. I do. I may have to actually put that back on when I get a minute. Anyways, but yeah, like I said, we're going to play some Tribes 3. If it even works. Are you going to launch? Oh, fuck off. Okay, I'm not doing that. Guess we're not playing. Oh, what are we going to play then, huh? You know, we can do a run. If I do a run of Forever Winter. Go get some water. Because we like water. Run. It's think. Oh, there it goes. Like it's thinking. I had to play with it a little bit. Oh, we're gonna do this now, huh? There we go. So we're gonna do a water run. It'd be another interesting thing is seeing. This game's actually another good example of how technology very much is influenced by the culture that creates it. Like, Euruska has a mix of cybernetic and, okay, well, fuck you too. Apparently, I'm not going to be able to play this. Because it is laggy as a fuck. So the one game does not like me playing it. I mean, that's a good example of that. You know, I think we'll just play some Doom. I think we'll play some Doom for a little bit. Let's see, what do I have here? Yeah, we'll play some Lost in Darkness. Alright. Hell's True Dark. There's rain, snow. Oh, okay, there it goes. Alright, we're good. Okay, I don't like that. Hold on. Oh, folks. Well, that might be why, because apparently I'm using the wrong version. Okay. Okay, cool. Now, I don't... It's already a hard mod, so we'll just play it on the easier mode. Yes, death is an inevitable concept. I know this. Alright. Alright, cross is down to 6. And, of course, fuck you. Nothing here. Alright, bolt. Oh, speaking of which, I need to turn that on. Okay. Last thing I need is to get ambushed. Flare. Alright, darken up this pod. Well, I'm hoping this works. Oh! Thank you. Okay. Not bleeding. Not bleeding. You know, I should probably put my headlamp on. You're alive. Kind of almost some extra gear. Oh, okay. I'm not doing anything. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I don't like that. Oh. Oh, damn it. Alright, we're alive. Oh, damn it. Get away from me. Ow, 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 ow. Quit. Okay. Bandage, bandage, bandage. Are there any more? There's more. Sorry, buddy. Let's dance. There, I got a ball. I got a ball. Oh, oh, there is something. Oh, shit. Okay. That's previous owner isn't going to be needing that anymore. Okay. Medicaid. Alright, cool. We are alive. We are alive. Okay. We don't have a plate carrier, so Yay. All right. Oh, that reminds me. I need to switch that over on Twitch. I completely forgot to switch my Twitch category. Whoops. Cool. All right. Hope I don't get jumped by a zombie or something. Okay. Nothing's come out and try to bite my face off yet. Okay. Well, I have exactly one shot in that thing. But I got the axe. Anti-radiation tablet. Oop. Okay. Oh, for a moment I was about to get jumped. Which honestly in this game wouldn't surprise me. Or this mod. Alright. Oh, hell. Nope, not faith, not faith, not faith. Okay, yeah, so. Get away from me, you ugly little... Ugh. Okay, bandage. 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 Alright. Alright. not like the sound of that. Yeah, dude, you just go that way, please. Oh no! Oh, damn it. Well, well, I think that's enough of scaring the shit out of myself for tonight. Anyway, yeah, so I got to accomplish my little world building project. If you guys got play some Doom 2. And yeah, I think that's the end of the stream tonight. So I will see you all